You know what, Invasion, I think we had a lot of great music this year, and I mean, as Mikey and I both have expressed in previous interviews, you know, we believe a lot of the work is going to go down to Trinidad, because after producing for Carnival for so many years, you kind of have an idea of what, you know, the Trinis like, and for sure we could see at least 5 to maybe 8 Barbadian songs doing very well in Trinidad. So it's always good to go down there and have your music down there, and likewise, you know, we've actually seen a lot more outside artists playing on the radio in Barbados this year. With, you know, you had Patrice and Ricardo Drew, some of the artists who actually were crop over songs that played, and you know, we like to see the exchange of cultures and the movement of artists freely between the islands. So I mean, definitely we're looking to go down to Trinidad, sure, and do well.
There are a few names that we haven't worked with before. However, we tend to try to keep that close to us, because you never know what's going to materialize or not materialize. So there will be a few new names that, you know, we haven't worked with before, a few younger artists out of Trinidad as well. But hopefully next year we'll be able to talk about that with some measure of success. Touched quite a few of the other islands in terms of different artists. You know, from St. Vincent, we've worked with Kevin Little and James E.P. From St. Lucia, Teddy St. John. A few Jamaican artists, Anthony B., as well as Maxi Priest. So, I mean, we've done a few things here and there, but obviously, you know, you want to be able to get as much into those different places as possible. And, you know, as far afield as the music takes us, we're ready to go. Well, I mean, I guess Crop Over has its marketing and all that kind of stuff, and it reaches relatively far. Right now, the artists depend upon Carnival in Trinidad to pretty much go further afield. If your song moves from Barbados and goes into Trinidad and does well, then you pretty much tour all the carnivals for the next year or two. At this point, that's where it's at. In terms of getting further out there, I think with the fusion of the lyrics, you know, trying to make stuff a little bit more universal. Yes, we keep all of our indigenous stuff, but along the reggae model where people can actually understand what the song is about in places that don't necessarily understand too much about Carnival and behind a truck and jumping up. To me, that's always a step in the right direction. I think we were on a track when Rupi had his success on Billboard with Tempted to Touch. I mean, Tempted to Touch is a universal saying. Kevin Little from St. Vincent also had Turn Me On. I think perhaps soca hasn't quite ridden on that wave of 10 years ago, but it did show what can happen. And I think, you know, the beat and the actual music is universally accepted now. So it's just a matter of us consciously trying to get further afield with it. And obviously, as we've seen with Rihanna, any success like that on a broad scale will obviously reap benefits for Barbados. Well, I mean, it's always nice to have something like that happen, and you can never be totally sure, but we thought, you know, from the time Bag brought this song and knowing, you know, how he appeals to Barbadians, that we always felt that it would have done pretty well. Whether we felt it would have done as well as it did, we try not to, you know, get too excited about that stuff before it actually happens. So maybe a little bit surprised, but not totally.